Abracadabra. I'm gonna stab ya, then slab ya. That would have been something funnier to say than the new Eminem song. In case you didn't know, there's a train. Train a ride. Metro Link. Metro Stink. I grew up at 6 Mile and Gratiot in Detroit. 6 Mile and Chalmers. In Detroit, just like Eminem coming up at 8 Mile. My parents, when they left the old neighborhood, they actually moved out to where Gilbert's is, and that's where Eminem used to cook. So like that's kind of in their area, their neighborhood, their area, which is a neighborhood in an area. So, right. So like, you know, when you've made it and you made it out of our neighborhood that was riddled with what's known as white flight, the people who started coming in, taking over the neighborhood were poor whites and poor blacks. They're from the South. So interestingly enough, I am the son of poor people from the South. My mother's mixed race. She's from North Carolina. My father is Anglo. He's from Kentucky. They both went to Detroit to get jobs in the factory, which is something everybody did back in the 50s and the 60s. I was born in 1966. So again, we have these different times. And in case you don't know, I'm writing the novelization to a television series called Linoleum Blown Apart. There's going to be 7 films inside this narrative. Okay, and these films are going to be from different decades, from the 40s, from the 50s, from the 60s up until 1969, when the director hands in a film called Bonaparte Bonami. We never see him shooting the films. This is important. You only see the result of the film. You see the actual film, a 90-minute film, 2 hours, maybe. Okay? So this is a cinema lover's narrative. And that's what I consider myself to be, the son of the midnight movies. I wrote a book called Two-Legged Animal. In it, I talk about getting notes from my mother to go see movies because I was a latchkey kid and there was nothing she could do with me. She had to work. And if I didn't have school, right, then I could go to the movies. And back then, I would go see R-rated movies. I was scared to death. I'm like 11 years old, fucking scared shitless by myself. I spent most of my life by myself. It's pretty lonely. No irony there. So what I'm doing now is I'm surfing the Eggyverse. When you know you're being targeted through skull-to-screen technology, which means it's as benign as going to the grocery store, looking at a particular thing, let's just say marshmallows. Okay, that's the secret word, marshmallows. Don't harsh my mellow marshmallow. And then when you're on your device elsewhere, perhaps you switch to a laptop, something like that. All of a sudden, this keyword starts coming in or something associated with it. Right? Like for me, it's hot chocolate, marshmallows. I didn't go camping. I was a city rat, so I was a city kid. I never went camping, so I didn't know what s'mores were. I had no idea. I didn't live that life. My parents, like I said, they came up. They actually believe if you go to college, you get a degree, then you have a chance at getting a good job. They actually believe this. Why? Because it was told to them. And during the 2013 era, many people began to realize that a lot of stuff that they keep repeating and parroting in the newspapers simply wasn't true. That when you go to college, you rack up debt, and you come out and you got the same barista job as the guy who dropped out in the 8th grade. I mean, so all this stuff is fairly well known now. But it's a fact. If you want to go to Harvard or Yale, they're looking for legacy students. They're looking for the children of children who went there. Okay? So there's really no affirmative action. And this is what people call them. They call them affirmative action hires. They call them DEI hires. DEI was created so they could crash the economy. It helps to crash the economy. It's the same playbook that they've been using. All they have to do is pit one side against the other. Take a look at the film, which is based on a book by Rudyard Kipling, The Man Who Would Be King, lad. You take a look at that film and they show you exactly how it's done in the military. I see everything through a military operations eyes. I've been seeing this, I don't know. When I was younger, I was a songwriter, so that's very feminine. And I have no problem with that. And what people don't understand is this. Aside from the fact that Eminem used the worst Steve Miller song ever, it's so annoying and everybody hates that song, but whatever, nobody cares. I told you guys before, they're keeping the music in-house. That's what they're doing. So Steve Miller is getting all this money. Whoever owns the rights to Steve Miller is getting the money. Okay? So again, you know, I'm a songwriter, and this is a very feminine thing to do. And what a lot of people don't understand is the reason a lot of musicians die young, especially leaders of a band, the reason that they die young, if it's not malfeasance, if it's not murder, like it quite possibly, definitely was in the case of Jimi Hendrix. Jimi Hendrix was murdered, in case you don't know that. The reason that they OD and do drugs is because you have to match the heights. And you can't match the heights of being on stage and singing a song that you and your buddies wrote together. And all of a sudden, everybody can relate to it in your crowd. You go on tour, you can't match that height. So no amount of drug, I don't care if you find the perfect speedball, whatever it is you're into. No matter what, you can't match that height. There's no matching that height. So that's why they get involved in drugs and stuff like that, to try to come close to it. You drink alcohol, you know, to try to come close to it, and you just can't. My songs have a hook. And by the way, Kate Hudson can sing. What a complete disaster that was. She's married to the guy from the Black Crowes. She sings the same type of music that the Black Crowes actually write. And here she is. She has to wait to get married all over again to a completely different musician who doesn't know a hook from a fish, from a dead fish that's hanging off of it. I watched her song. Now, she can sing. I would never take anything away from her. I'm a Goldie, man. But they're missing the hook. Listen to my songs. They're listed under both Linoleum Blown Apart as well as Grievance Committee, because there's some bleed over there. I was in two bands. One was called the Grievance Committee. The other was called Linoleum Blown Apart. The name of my series is what? Linoleum Blown Apart. What's it about? It's about two parallel lives. You got the nihilistic punk rock archetype, which, like I said before, with the Sopranos, you have the notion of these passe archetypes. Now, you've got these rules. I listened to Michael Franchise, and in case you don't know, I actually did a play. My picture was in the paper at the same Italian-American playhouse that Chaz Palminteri did A Bronx Tale. Okay? This was in the 90s. And I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Guys, come on, can I just... I'm trying to keep track of so much. Thank you very much for watching my show. I appreciate it. My writing is always linked in the description. Boy, I tell you, I'm going through some rough stuff, man. There's things that I'm trying to learn how to do, and it's terrible. I wish I could tell you guys. I wish I could get some help, but I can't. I'm a loner now. 7 years divorced from my wife. They ran an operation on me in New York, and it lasted all the way down to Florida. My wife was actually trying to get me to self-harm. She was showing me pictures of a guy at work who allegedly slit his throat. He never slit his throat. It was designed to get me to put the idea of self-harm, and they were using the device to do it. I call them the meta murders, and they come through the Facebook app. For sure, 100%. And these gangs, at least in my case, black gangs work with white gangs, which again lends itself to the notion that racism is fake, it's contrived, and it's convenient for those who are utilizing this trope. This trope is so locked down. We are such parrots that they can actually anticipate riots like the operation that was the O.J. Simpson operation. OJO, the OJO, right? And so I talk about a lot of things, and what I do is I surf the Eggyverse. And surfing the Eggyverse is not only being involved in non sequiturs, kind of like Terrence Howard, how he jumps around into non sequiturs. Oh, I'm sorry, the genius Terrence Howard. Whatever, dude. Give me a break. He's just regurgitating stuff that's been known about for years. He actually doesn't hold his patents anymore because they were too expensive. So he doesn't even hold any patents. But anyways, I'm hard pressed to put other people down because they're out there trying to do what they do. They're out there trying to build an audience. I make fun of the mainstream all the time. Little garbage truck interruption. But I'm not going to keep you too long. I'm doing 15-minute shows now. And you guys can challenge me on anything that I say. They ran an op on me in 2017 that included the Facebook app, and I was not allowed to sleep ever. And it was a massive operation. It was designed to get me to self-harm. And all I wanted to do was sit down with my wife and talk about, hey, what's going to go on? She had on her face. What? I don't know. Just talk. What? What? Just this look on her face, this incredulous look. And I noticed that when I was dealing with like these plainclothes police officers who are trying to exacerbate this op on me as well. You could see I not only survived the op, but I came out the other side of it. I'm completely unscathed. The last thing I did in Michigan is I went undercover with this guy. He asked me to get him drugs at work, and it was very sus. And I'm like, okay, because I was playing this role. And because I had just come off, so you're talking 2017 and 2018, it was full tilt boogie on me, trying to get me to commit suicide. That's what they wanted. I'm sorry, self-harm, whatever you could say. By not allowing us freedom of speech, they're creating what's known as newspeak from 1984. They're creating it naturally by not allowing us to say certain key words. We have to speak around it. So this kind of future is not cool. I am not cool with it. But I'm not, how can I be anti-corporatist when everything's a corporation? You can't be. Besides, I love my Starbucks, even if it's instant. Gotta back it up there. Back it in. So from 2017, basically 2016 through 2018, they ran an op. I wouldn't self-harm because I had already went through a ritual. This is what I'm trying to explain to you, the power of the ritual. Now you have Joseph Campbell talking about the power of the myth, but it's really about the power of the ritual. It's how you use these rituals. And these rituals go all the way back in history. You have an added element of chaos magic that you could add to it, because there's certain things that we know now. We know, through the cut-up method, you could use part of that method in order to perform one of these rituals. And you have to have an intention in mind. I will be talking about more of this, but you know how it goes, man. Once I'm out of coffee, I'm out. Cheers, everybody. Thank you very much for watching my show. I appreciate it more than you'll ever know. Trust me.